Welcome one, welcome all to the 2026 edition of Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. A long off season has led us to this point, the start of a brand new season of high school football. So glad you found us. We are on all social media platforms, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your audio podcasts, and YouTube. I'm your host, Josh Kirby. Thank you once again to Frederick County Parks and Recreation and all of our sponsors for their support of Kirby's Kickoff. The coverage started back at the beginning of this month of August, traveling to all 9 high schools for full media day previews of every football team in the area. I appreciate everybody's support. If you checked those out, a lot of coverage and a lot of interviews to get you prepped for the start of a new season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get you the high school football schedule for week number 1. The Sherando Warriors traveling to face the Amherst Lancers down around the Lynchburg area. The Millbrook Pioneers open up the season at home against the Loudoun Valley Vikings. The James Wood Colonels hosting the Clarke County Eagles in the Colonels home opener and their senior night. The defending state champion Strasburg Rams and Quincy Williams hosting the Region 3B runner-up Skyline Hawks with their running back Zayden Burks. And the Central Falcons, new to Kirby's Kickoff this year, traveling down to face the Region 2B runner-up in Stuarts Draft, and the Warren County Wildcats traveling to face the Rock Ridge Phoenix. On Saturday, the Handley Judges hosting the Eastern View Cyclones in their home opener. So glad you're with us. So much to get to here on Kirby's Kickoff. We have interviews with Ryan Rutherford on the River 95.3, Dan Gloster with Winchester's Classic Country 95.7, plus coaches from throughout the valley as we get you set for week 1 coverage of high school football. It is going to be a very fun season, and I appreciate each and every one of you taking time to join us right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Make sure beforehand you check out the Kirby on Sports Podcast YouTube page, along with all streaming platforms, with my interview with Ryan Sonner, the author of Until It Was Ours. Ryan is a Strasburg native and an author who recently decided to publish a book on the Strasburg Rams 2025 state championship victory, as well as a look back at other Strasburg Rams football teams who made it to the state championship game. A really great interview I did with Ryan on a special edition of Kirby's Kickoff, which is available on all streaming platforms and YouTube right now. So make sure you check that out. We have a jam-packed show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. So glad you're with us right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. We have so much more to come right after this as we get you set for week 1 of high school football. Coming up next on Kirby's Kickoff. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals. When you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. We take a look at a matchup a little bit closer each and every week. My good friend, the Duke, Ryan Rutherford, he's joined by Randy Woodward on the River 95.3 and Fox Sports Radio, 1450, week in and week out, covering high school football all over the place. And my friend, great to see you. Looking forward to another great football season. But we got to start just rewinding it a little bit back. The great success that we were able to cover when it came to high school basketball together.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I actually have been thinking about that a lot the last couple of days because my brain, I feel like even though I've not been in school for many years now, it still is kind of like a new year as we start the new school year. So I've kind of been reflecting on that. But yeah, we had four state championship games for basketball. And then also here at the station, of course, we were at Strasburg's football state championship game last year, the 10U Little League state championship game. So a lot of trophies got hoisted up last year. So I'm very intrigued to see what this sports year has in store for us.
Yeah, absolutely. A new sports year in, as always, the River 95.3 and Fox Sports Radio, 1450, both those stations. And you have really taken apart, as well as the whole team, I would say, because I'm sure it's not just one person collaborating on all these ideas, but when it comes to community and covering what's good in the community, you do a great job doing that, and it really shows in the great amount of pride you show in the sports coverage down there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it does. It takes a full team effort, and we also need you to help us out with that too, helping us out with our coaches' interviews for our pregame shows throughout the season, repurposing your Kirby's kickoff interviews for those, and then of course you were helping us out with some of the Road to Week 1 podcasts, using some of your coverage out at training camps too. So yeah, it definitely it takes a whole team effort, and because we've covered a lot of schools. There's some other folks out there who do cover different pockets of the valley, maybe some of just the Shenandoah County teams or Frederick County teams, but we really try to hit the whole shebang all the way through. So we're glad to cover as many schools as we do.
7 o'clock Friday night, the first week, it's going to be Strasburg and Skyline, and I'm sure you had this circled as soon as I
Oh yeah.
emailed you the schedule. And I will say, this matchup, when you hear the two teams, Strasburg and Skyline, Strasburg Rams, obviously, they win their first state title in school history. What an incredible just storyline this Strasburg Rams team had. And you interviewed Ryan Sonner recently, who wrote that big book about Strasburg state title as well. And you look at Skyline making school history, etching their first Region 3B runner-up trophy. But they had an impressive run after falling in the first 3 games of the regular season. This just makes for a great matchup for week 1.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think there are two more excited fan bases in the area coming into this season. Both teams truly are coming off their best years in school history. I mean, obviously Strasburg winning their first state championship, Skyline their longest playoff run, and they both have a lot of very exciting pieces coming back too. I don't know if anywhere in Virginia you will find a better RB1 versus RB1 matchup than we're going to see Friday night too, with Zayden Burks for Skyline, leading running back in the state of Virginia, coming back, and then Quincy Williams on the other side, Class 2 All-State Offensive Player of the Year. So you really cannot go wrong either way. I do a score preview in my Dukes preview article, and I still don't know who I think I'm going to predict to win at this point. It's very back and forth. I just think both teams have so many good pieces coming back.
And he's got to start with the offensive line when it comes to the
Mhm.
powerful running backs in Zaydenbergs for Skyline and Quincy Williams for Strasburg. Because you look at those
Mhm.
two, and those two combined, they could light some fireworks up throughout the course of this game on Friday.
Oh yeah, I mean, looking back at last year's run with Strasburg's team to the championship game, how many times I would listen through the highlights and we would talk about how the backs were just untouched. Like the Strasburg line just creates huge holes, and they do such a wide spread on their line. You know, they a lot of linemen are very tight together. But with Strasburg running that T formation, they really can fan out that line and create a lot of gaps for their running back in that way. And like we already mentioned, Gage Gutierrez, All State, multiple times coming back. And they're going to have some other guys that are going to have to step up due to graduation and everything. But I was just talking to Randy here this morning. There were so many games Strasburg had blowouts last year where those backups were getting reps with the varsity squad and on the field under Friday Night Lights. So I think they're going to be ready to go. Also, all of those extra practices you get as a postseason team with whatever 4 or 5 extra weeks of practice, bringing everybody together for that state championship run. So I have no doubt they're going to be ready to go. And then Skyline, they are losing probably their top lineman from last year, Barrett Stevens, but I'm pretty sure the other four are all returning starters from last year. So in general, will be a very strong group. I've already talked to Ryan Held a little bit this summer, and he is really coming along in his game. He's starting to finally get some attention from some colleges around the area. And then defensive line, Titus Drake is just a monster for Skyline. He is going to be, I think, one of the top defense players in the area, an all-state level wrestler. State championship wrestler with Skyline last year in the Class 3 level. So yeah, it's gonna all start up front, and Scott and Strasburg's defensive line. They have to fill the shoes of Hudson Conrad this year. He was such a not just a playmaker on the field, but a leader mentally and just like could lift up that locker room too with his leadership.
So looking at Skyline offensively, they have a new starting quarterback in Brentley
Hmm.
Grindle, but it seems like everybody I've spoke to around Skyline, they are uplifting him, giving him all the support he needs in
Hmm.
order to be successful. I think that is a great situation to go into being a new starting quarterback in an offensive system for the Skyline Hawks team with a running back in Zayden Burks.
Brentley Grindle, yeah, he just kind of makes me feel old seeing him come over from the front row Little League Diamond and now taking over for the Hawks. But yeah, they seem very excited with what they've seen from him so far. He's an athlete, like he's going to be able to make some plays with his legs, make some throws on the run. I have no doubt about that. That baseball background is going to certainly come into play with, throwing off position, off balance a little bit. And also, just you can really see the team is very excited for him to be their quarterback. Sometimes that is a team can be kind of abrasive towards an underclassman taking on that much of a leadership role, but no, they love Brentley Grindle. They're very excited for him to be their quarterback, and when you have Zayden Burks lining up next to you, it makes your job a lot easier for sure. You can just do a shovel pass, and you might get a 50-yard touchdown pass out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, of both these teams, it should be a very exciting matchup on paper. Ryan, if you're picture yourself as a coach for the Skyline Hawks and for the Strasburg Rams, either side, what does each team need to do successfully in order to come away with the victory?
Yeah, I mean, I think for both of them, it's going to be a lot of just limiting those home run type plays. I think both running backs, in Quincy Williams and Zayden Burks, they have that ability to turn just an average play into a phenomenal play and a touchdown from anywhere on the field. So it's going to be really about containing those guys, finding your keys. If you are the outside defensive end, you cannot let Zayden Burks or Quincy Williams get outside you because if they get to that sideline, nobody's going to catch him. I think I saw Quincy Williams' mom posting on Facebook this summer that Quincy was running like a 4.6 40-yard dash right now, which in high school, especially around here, is about as fast as it gets. So you let any of these guys find an edge, they are going to be taking it to the house. So it's going to be about maintaining those kinds of plays and also holding on to the football. That's something Quincy Williams has done an incredible job specifically throughout his career. I felt like it was maybe his sophomore year or earlier in his career, had some really key fumbles. Last year, held on to the ball just absolutely with perfection. So he has completely corrected that, it seems like, in his game. But if maybe one of those wide tosses for Strasburg goes out of line, like it did a couple times in the state championship game versus Glenver, maybe the young quarterback Grindle gets some pressure in his face and forces a throw and turns the ball over. So either of those teams, there are parts of their offense that could lead to turnovers. It could really just come down to those simple things of maintaining possession of the football and keeping away those big plays.
It is Strasburg, the defending state champions, hosting the Skyline Hawks, a battle of two star running backs. And on paper, this game should be a lot of fun. You can hear all the action with Randy Woodward and Ryan Rutherford on Fox Sports Radio 1450, the river953.com, and the River app. Once again, joined by the Duke, Ryan Rutherford, right here on Kirby's Kickoff right now and all season long. Ryan, great to catch up with you once again. Looking forward to future conversations, and we will catch you next week, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. Looking in to two matchups just a little bit deeper. Joining me, as always, for week 1 and all season long from Winchester's Classic Country 95.7, Winchester's finest, Dan Gloster. Dan, Happy New Year, my friend.
Yep, but it's August, 24th? So yeah, I guess we can still say Happy New Year, I guess, Josh, but
yeah. Happy New Year when it comes to football. Nobody gets that joke.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. I was thinking of more of the calendar year, but yeah, you're good. You're right. And
yes,
can't wait for the other levels of football to get going, but we get high school football first.
Did you enjoy your summer vacation?
Yeah, it was all right.
Good, yep. Good. Glad to hear it. So, Dan will be joining us week in and week out on Kirby's Kickoff to preview rather some upcoming high school football matchups. But first, to set the scene, Dan, just looking around at all the area schools. I know you don't really cover the Strasburg Rams, but an impressive run. They win the Class 2 state final, defeating Glenver down in Salem. I know you're probably following that casually, but just what a run for the Strasburg Rams to start things off here.
Yeah, and an even better story behind that with their head coach. Is it Trip Lamb? Is that right? With battling cancer during that whole ordeal, and just an amazing story. And just, I mean, couldn't be happier for that whole team, town, community, high school. And, I remember talking with Glenn Proctor back in the day on our Coach's Corner show on Adelphia Channel 6. And he brought him there, but just couldn't get it done. But everybody was behind that team. You got to believe, former players, everybody. And it was great to see them finally get it done.
So definitely a lot of great community support around the Strasburg community, Shenandoah County. It's just something special when you watch high school football in Strasburg, Virginia. That's for sure. They battle it out against Skyline at home, and that's going to be two running backs who are looking to make some noise in that game. Quincy Williams for Strasburg and Zayden Burks for Skyline, but just shooting around high school football, staying in the Bull Run district, just unrealistic. A young Clarke County team with their first losing season in what seems like forever. I know you've been with some of the Clarke County games last year, Dan, but just seeing the youth of this team and how much struggles they have had, but the coaching staff supporting this team. You have next to no graduating seniors in that class. Last year, just a few. You got to imagine this Clarke County team returns a lot of experience from last year's team to maybe get a little bit better.
Yeah, they got a lot of pride in that community, that school, and they're definitely going to be working hard to improve on that 1-9 record. Not going to be easy to start because they're facing a really high power offense in James Wood. Set program records last year. I think points per game, about 41 and a half per game, and yards, well over 400 yards per game. And they've got now 4-year starter Owen Neal back at quarterback, and they're playing at home, so not going to be easy. But got to believe Clark's gonna bring everything they got, for that game and in every game. That's just the way they do it down there at Clarke County. But hopefully they will move. They'll kind of grow from what they went through last year and what they learned, and some of the hard knocks that they had to endure last year, and get a few more wins this year.
Clarke County faces off against the James Wood Colonels, the Colonels home opener and senior night. And James Wood, I mean, they finished the season 7-4, falling to Sherando in the region playoffs, first round of the region playoffs. But it seems like every year we look at this James Wood Colonels team, they have a lot of experience behind Owen Neal and Adric Urish and so many other names. This Colonels team is getting better as the years go on. I feel like this could be another strong season for the James Wood Colonels.
Most definitely. Fruits of the labor of Todd Wilson, as that program continues to grow. Not sure exactly what year it is for him, but he's definitely doing a good job getting kids out, getting them in the weight room, bigger, stronger, faster. That was the mantra last year. And this year it's starting earlier because they had some slow starts in games last year. So that's kind of gonna kind of be their mantra for this year: play 4 quarters of football and start fast. But yeah, that program is really, really coming along, and they definitely contend for the Apple Cup this year.
Yeah, already talking about the Apple Cup, and it's week 1. It's gonna be here before we know it. But Sherando Warriors, another strong season, not as far as they got 2 years ago when they went down to face Phoebus, but falling to GW Danville in the region semifinals after defeating James Wood in a come-from-behind fashion, too, because James Wood was up at least 3 scores in that first half against Sherando.
Yep.
Sherando, they are a tough football team. I know they return a big man in Pete Carter. No, they're looking for a new quarterback there, but Jalen Tasco Murray as the running back. Some pieces returning for the Sherando Warriors team with the leadership of the coaching staff led by head coach TJ Rohrball. I mean, Sherando, they just play football to their standards week in and week out, and I think that continues as well. What have you seen from Sherando early on in your preparations?
They've got a lot of good players coming back. They did lose some key players. Garrett C, All-State center, lost at graduation, but got plenty of good players coming back. You mentioned Pete Carter. He's verbally committed to play at West Point. Not many kids get that accolade, and he is a heck of a football player, heck of a young man. Talking to TJ Rohrbaugh about him. But they've got other players coming back, Reith Puller, the running back that you mentioned. 5 players start vying for the starting quarterback position, and they start out pretty long road trip, kind of a rarity these days, and that you would travel to Lynchburg, 2.5, probably 3 hours on a bus. But they're going to play Amherst. Amherst down year last year. Not sure what they got this year, but definitely be a good test for Sherando out of the gate Friday, August 28th.
That's just the way the scheduling system works on the 2-year cycles. It essentially flips. So last year's schedule pretty much mimics this year's schedule, but if you were home, then you're away. So not sure if that makes sense, but that's to my understanding how that works. But a long road trip early on, I agree. But I think that's going to be a good test from the road trip, and then facing a team who has had storied success as well. So you can never get wrong with an early road trip for later in the season. You know how to handle those road trips when it comes to long playoff games.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they'll be ready. Both their scrimmages were at home, so they kind of, I think, saved that first real road trip for a real game. But I'm sure they'll be ready for the I believe the Lancers. That's what Amherst is, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. So moving on. First game on the docket on Winchester Classic Country, 95-7, the Millbrook Pioneers at home against Loudoun Valley. Millbrook, obviously some ups, some downs. They defeated Kettle Run last year, nearly missing the playoffs, falling to Handley the last week of the regular season, a game you were on the call of. Millbrook, they have some returners in. From what I'm gathering, the energy from this Millbrook Pioneers team is very good, in a good place with this team early on, and they're excited to get back out on the gridiron week 1 against Loudoun Valley.
Yeah, they've got some good kids coming back. Carter Kinley's a returning running back. Nick McKinney, he's a wide receiver coming back. They've got some offensive line players coming back. One player they don't have coming back, and you got to play with who you got, but they don't have Keon Lewis. He decided to focus on basketball. So, and he threw for, I think, over 2,500 yards last year, and a good number of touchdowns as well. So, you might see a little more run early in the season for Millbrook. A couple of young guys are vying for the quarterback position. So that would be my guess. But, I've not seen them scrimmage, so I'm not anywhere positive on that. But yeah, they played Valley tough last year. Valley came out on top over in Purcellville, and then as you say, they 2-year cycle, they flipped it. So they're gonna host the Vikings, and we'll have that first of 16 games on Classic Country 95-7 Friday.
Yes.
So yeah, good starting test for Nick Manuel in his second year as head coach of the Pioneers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think Loudoun Valley, they're historically known to have a good program. They had a really successful season across all programs last year as well. And it's huge for this Millbrook Pioneers team as well. Nick Manuel's second year, he has a full year developing the culture he wants to set within his team. I think that's a huge positive for this team instead of a coach entering in halfway through the offseason or at any point whatsoever. You've been here for a year, you know what to expect, the players know what to expect too. So I think that's a good thing with this Pioneers team. Nick Manuel doing a lot of great things, and as you mentioned, the quarterback position, I know quarterback battles aren't always the easiest, but coaching staffs have to make a decision on who is the best player to command the offense, because you look at it anyway, that's a tough job when you are a starting quarterback. You got to be a leader, you got to take command of the offense, and so much more when it comes to 4 quarters of football.
Yep. Oh, definitely. And they gotta minimize the mistakes, not hurt themselves, and just play good sound football. And we'll see how it goes with them taking on Valley on Friday night.
So Millbrook, Loudoun Valley to open up the season. Dan has the call on Winchester's Classic Country 95-7. The next matchup, it's a doubleheader Friday and Saturday. Dan Gloster makes his return to the Handley Bowl as the Handley Judges host Eastern View. That's a 1 o'clock matchup on Saturday. And Handley, we got to talk about Handley. We have a lot to cover on Handley. You were there for it. I was there for most of it. What a historic season this Handley Judges team had last season.
Oh yeah, definitely a good campaign for them. I'm sure that the last game doesn't sit well with the returning players and with the coaching staff. But Jefferson Forest just made a few more plays than Handley in that regional playoff game. But won the Apple Cup, did the Judges, beat Liberty in an opening round playoff game, then pretty much went toe to toe with Jefferson Forest. But they'll have Tristan Darling back this year. He missed all of last year after being knocked out in a game on November 7th, 2024 against Sherando on about the first play from scrimmage offensively for Handley, and just a really nasty injury to his leg. And he did all kinds of things. He went out for the swimming team to build strength in his legs when he really couldn't put a whole lot of pressure on his knee. Just did all kinds of things. Ran track I think he threw in track. And so I think he's raring to go. And, they've got 2 players coming back on the offensive line and then some younger players that are going to take the next 3 spots. And, they're going to be a run first team for sure this year. But, they'll get a stiff test. They beat Eastern View at their place last year. I want to say somewhere around 23-10. Maybe was that score, not positive on that, but that'll be a good opening test for Handley.
And I mean, just looking at last year, just going through that playoff run, the game against Jefferson Forest, there was just a different atmosphere during that game, toe to toe. I mean, we didn't get a chance to recap it at the end of the year, Dan, but what was that atmosphere for you like up where you were in the perch with Tim Mondell?
Oh, they were a tough matchup for Handley. They definitely just couldn't quite get the running game going. Handley couldn't the way they had against pretty much everybody the whole season long, I guess, other than maybe Kettle Run. And then some untimely errors, but Jefferson Forest, again, just a few more plays, and tough way to end the season, but still a good season for Handley.
Yeah, history was etched in Handley. It was the first time in a long time that they were able to host not one, but two home playoff games, which
Mhm.
that hasn't happened since the Dan Jones era, I believe, facing Loudoun County, if I recall.
Yeah, but they lost that's the first win they had last year in the playoffs in a good while.
Yeah, yeah,
I
but
believe
I'm
they
just talking about a home playoff game.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So,
But
so as you mentioned, Tristan Darling is back. And Coach Smith has said nothing but positive things about his leadership, how he's commanding the offense. So I think he's itching to get back out there. He's ready to go. But the key here too, that senior class on senior day, I noticed how many seniors were walking for senior day. They graduated a ton of seniors. So the youth of this team is going to show, I believe. But at the same time, how does this coaching staff find the right pieces to plug in to find the most success for this team?
well, they played some younger players last year as well as the seniors. So they got some guys, coming back that have some experience, but it's not their first rodeo. They got an idea of how to get players in and get the best players where they need to be. Um, but it'll be interesting to see how Handley comes out of the gate against Eastern View.
Have you seen anything on Eastern View by chance?
Not a thing.
Nope. All right. Well, a Handley Bowl, it's always fun there. And to yeah, peel the page a little bit more, it's going to be very busy because you have a Thursday 4:30 at the Handley Bowl too with
Yeah, that's the
the
week
labor.
after.
That's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah, I get to skip out of work early. That's nice.
I'm sure you're not complaining on that one.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's Labor Day weekend. Everybody's playing, other than Clarke. Clarke plays Friday the 4th, and we're going to go do that game down at Fort Defiance. But everybody else, I guess they wanted to have a long Labor Day weekend. And for Handley, it would have been waiting until Saturday to play. So they just said, let's just play Thursday at 4:30. And um, I kind of would have preferred a 4 o'clock start and me just to make sure if there's any kind of a possible weather delay that you don't get too much darkness, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
So, but hey, 4:30 is the start kickoff time for Thursday, September 3rd. They'll take on the Liberty Eagles, and they should be improved from last year when they made the playoffs and beat James Wood, by the way. So that's not a team to be, taken lightly by any stretch for a young Handley team. But yeah, that's week 2, and
Yeah, we will talk about that more next week. But on the docket for Winchester's Classic Country 95.7, Dan has the call. It is Millbrook in Loudoun Valley on Friday, 7 o'clock, then 1 o'clock. Handley hosting Eastern View. Before we wrap this up, too, more history for Handley. The first year of the first time program history, the basketball team has reached the very top, winning the Class 4 state title, knocking off the Hampton Crabbers. We were both down there. Just what a remarkable season in sports for this Handley Judges high school. And not to mention the girls' tennis team, how far they went as well.
yeah, that was a fun ride with following the Handley boys to EC Glass for the regional final, back to Handley for the state quarter against Broad Run, which was a good game, and then down to Highland Springs where they took on Varina, and kind of a gutted out kind of game, a low scoring game, and then come back and just totally dominate Hampton. I mean, Hampton did not know what to do with those defenses because Handley was switching defenses 4, 5, maybe 6 times in a possession. And that's just insane coaching by Zach Harrell and the rest of the Handley coaching staff. And just what a great, great, state championship run that was for the Handley boys basketball team. And I'm proud to say I was there, and it was, I'm sure you are as well, being there at VCU.
And yeah, I'm not sure if you listened to any of the press conference afterwards, but Coach Zach Harrelzook did mention they had like 10 variations of the 1-3-1 that they would run throughout the course of that game against Hampton. And the huge factor in that game, how well they were able to dictate their pace of play and not speed up to what Hampton had.
Right. No, yeah, they definitely.
You look at the start, they're just holding the ball, tossing it around, and people are like, they need a shot clock in Virginia. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yet they scored 61 and they limited Hampton to 42. So, again, Hampton just didn't have an answer, but they, like you said, they dictated, and Hampton was just totally befuddled by the whole game.
absolutely. But a lot of successes is how we'll put a bow on this for local high school athletics. Once again, Dan Gloster has coverage of Clarke County, James Wood, Sherando, Millbrook, and Handley each and every week on Winchester's Classic Country 95.7. Dan Gloster right here on Kirby's Kickoff. This week and throughout the course of the season. Dan, aren't you glad football's back?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it each and every week. Dan, appreciate your time with me as always here on Kirby's Kickoff, and we will catch you next week.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports with Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
Week 1 high school football is back here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Warren County Wildcats take a trip up to Ashburn, facing off against the Rock Ridge Phoenix. Pleased to be joined by head coach of the Warren County Wildcats, Josh Breeden. Coach, we touched base a couple weeks back, early portions of your team's camp. Since then, you've had a couple scrimmages under your belt, I would imagine. What have you seen growth-wise from your team from when we touched base up until this point, a couple days away from your game against Rock Ridge?
There's flashes are really good, both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Rocktown and Central gave us both very different looks. Obviously, Central running a little bit of gun tee and Rocktown more spread. So defensively, it was good to get in against both schemes. Offensively, both of those teams played physical football, so really stressed our guys up front. I saw tremendous growth in pass protection the next week against Broadway. Quarterback making some good plays with his feet, running around, sensing pressure in the pocket. Running backs are running hard. Receivers are running good routes, strong catches on the outside. And then defensively against Broadway, we played a physical football team. It was good to get some experience against a physical offensive line, physical ball carriers. That was good experience all the way around. Again, a lot of mistakes, but fixable mistakes, things we could clean up. But a lot of flashes are good.
And during scrimmages, I know you don't show everything, but you get a good look at what your team can do. What stood out to you and the coaching staff about some other players that really stood out to you during that time when you had all those scrimmages?
Well, we have a young running back, Tristan Thompson, who was on the fence. We were thinking about moving him to JV to get more playing experience, but he actually surprised us quite a bit, played real well in all the scrimmages. He had flashes of being a really good ball carrier for us. So we expect to get him some burn this year on the varsity squad. Blake Starks, playing outside linebacker, took a year off last year, didn't play football last year, made a lot of big plays this year on the outside for us on defense. David Ote, same way. Took a year off, baseball guy, came out this year playing outside linebacker opposite of Blake, made some tremendous plays. And then, of course, the guys that, we expected from Aiden Dunzeth on the offensive line had great games. Bryce Bergman playing quarterback, of course, I mentioned earlier, making plays with his feet. He looks a lot faster than he has in the previous years. Troy DeHaven and McCary both playing wide receiver. Javion Smith playing wide receiver. It looks like we have some talent, man. And, the guys, again, they've been working all summer, busting their tails. So it's good to see that investment is paying off.
So, your team, it seems like a lot of energy, and you mentioned the investment going all the way back to the weight room. We've reached that time, Coach. Week 1, getting ready to face off against a Rock Ridge team. First and foremost, I know week 1, there's some of the elements of the unknown. How do you factor planning for a team you might not know what they're running or what they're going to execute going into a game on Friday?
Well, we have some tape from their scrimmages. We've taken a look to see kind of what they're going to try to do. Obviously they're going to add some wrinkles and they're going to add some gadgets probably, but Coach Teague over at Rock Ridge is a historically single wing coach. He likes the single wing offensively. It looks like that's what they're planning to do on offense. They have some great athletes in the backfield, really tight splits up front. They have a lot of pullers and movers, so we got to make sure we play our gap responsibility and play our keys. Defensively, they're a high pressure, very aggressive defense. So they're going to play cover zero. They're going to try to man us up and send the house at our quarterback. So I mentioned seeing improvement from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage in pass protection. I need to continue to see pass protection improve this week against a really aggressive defense and let our receivers, get in and out of their breaks and their routes and have the quarterback get it out on time. Special teams, that's where the unknown comes in. We didn't do kickoff, kick return in either of our scrimmages. We've only done punt and field goal. So, that's what we've got to look at as far as our scheme is concerned. And then, looking at the film, Rock Ridge has only kicked off twice in their 2 films. So, just trying to get an idea of what they're going to be on special teams, but we'll prepare for anything. So we're good to go on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going into this game, one of your leaders in Bryce Bergman, it seems like he really steps up and does a lot for the team. Just that relationship between you and Bryce going into week 1 and furthermore the rest of the season, how huge is that coach-quarterback connection there?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of trust. He trusts me to put the guys in the best position possible to be successful. He trusts our offensive coordinator, Corenzo Hogue, to come up with a good plan to take advantage of what the defense has given us. And we trust Bryce to go out there and make the plays and be the leader on the field. There's a lot of emotion in the huddle. There's a lot of things going on in the huddle that I can't always be there for. And I have to trust Bryce to be able to handle that and truly be the quarterback on the field, and be what every team needs, which is leadership on the field. Bryce has certainly taken his lumps over the last couple of years, but he's earned everything that he's going to be rewarded this year. He's poised for a great year. I'm really excited for him, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
What's the energy like with the team leading up to game week here?
These guys are fired up and ready to go, man. We've been working hard, and unfortunately, last year's game against them has left a sour taste in our mouth. Me especially. I kind of found a way to throw the game away at the end, and we've talked about that and talked about how we've grown from that, how I've grown from that personally as the head coach. But we need to take advantage of every opportunity that's given to us. Rock Ridge is going to be a well-coached team. We know that. We're prepared for it. But the guys are ready to go. Warren County has not gone 1-0 in 11 years. So we're looking to snap that streak and end that drought this week. And it's going to start with the opening kickoff, and then we'll take it one play at a time.
And for you, Coach, as a head coach and your coaching staff, what do you want to see from your players when they step out on the field Friday night?
Well, I want to see great communication pre-snap. I want to see us identify our keys, both sides of the ball. After the snap, I just want to execute. Just do what we've been coached to do what we've been planning, practicing, and preparing to do. Again, we got to take it one play at a time. Highs and lows are going to happen. We got to leave the lows behind us and ride the highs. So, football is a 4-quarter game. It's a long game. There's a lot of snaps in the game, and we got to just take it one snap at a time and see what happens at the end.
Football is back indeed. The Warren County Wildcats traveling up to Ashburn to face the Phoenix of Rock Ridge, part of Week 1 coverage right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Warren County Wildcats today and all season long, Coach Josh Breeden. Coach, certainly appreciate your time and looking forward to catching up with you next week.
Always appreciate you, buddy. Go Cats.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
Week 1, high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Central Falcons out of Woodstock take a trip down to Stuarts Draft in Week 1 action across the Shenandoah Valley and beyond. Pleased to be joined for the first time on Kirby's Kickoff, the head coach of the Central Falcons, Rowdy Hoover. Coach, certainly appreciate you making time for this, and welcome to Kirby's Kickoff.
Thank you for having me.
So, Coach, first and foremost, we connected a couple weeks ago, early portions of camp. Just wanted to get your thoughts on where you've seen your team develop from that time up until now, and take us through some of the scrimmages that you all had.
Yeah, so preseason, we were able to start, we already had a pretty good base over the summer, but preseason, we worked on getting kids that we didn't see a lot this summer, kind of up to snuff, as you call it, and getting everybody ready to go for scrimmages. Got our depth chart kind of set. We had a good scrimmage and we had a bad scrimmage. So some room for improvement on the last one. And and that's what scrimmages are for. So I think it was a good eye opener for our kids to see where they stand with some of the better teams in our area.
And what aspects from the scrimmages when it comes to your team really stood out to you and your staff on things that your team does very well?
Yeah, so we get to the ball. We play pretty good run defense, and we made some good blocks up front offensively. And we just got to get a few other things here and there, and I think we'll be off the movement. I thought we threw the ball extremely well in both scrimmages. So excited about those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, going into game week, what's just the energy like around the team in the locker room getting set for a matchup against Stuarts Draft?
I think we're locked in, as the kids like to say. We've been watching film. Their practice has been up tempo. They're enthusiastic, and I think they're ready to get out there and play somebody different and something that counts and see where they stand in the 2B region and Class 2 football.
Yeah, obviously, last year, Stuarts Draft making it to the region final. Don't really know much about Stuarts Draft, but it is week 1, Coach. There are probably some unknowns when it comes to game planning, but how do you and the staff get the best game plan in place for whatever you see that Stuarts Draft has to offer?
You evaluate film that you get, and then you put a game plan together, and you got to get your kids to execute it. So you can have a great game plan. It's about getting your kids to execute it. So that's a big emphasis of what we do, is executing our game plan, doing your job, and only your job.
And last but not least, Coach, What do you and the staff want to see from this Central Falcons team, your squad, once they step out onto the football field this Friday night?
I just want to be relentless. If we're disciplined, we're relentless, and we're continuously every play just hammering, and there's no bend, there's no give. Um, that's what I want to see. The scoreboard will take care of itself. I need to see if we are a team that can go 4 quarters and just be relentless of everything we do, from special teams to defense and offense, and we just don't let up.
It is the Central Falcons. They travel down to Stuarts Draft week 1 in high school football. Always pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Central Falcons, Rowdy Hoover, today and all season long. Coach Hoover, certainly appreciate the time and looking forward to catching up with you next week.
All right, my man. Have a blessed day.
Located right here in Winchester, Virginia, Barrett Pest and Termite Services celebrates 25 years of service in 2022. And our veteran staff has over 100 years of combined experience preventing and remediating pest and termite infestations. From ants and termites on the ground to mosquitoes, yellow jackets, and hornets in the air, to one-time corrective services for rodents, to ongoing maintenance, Barrett does the job for residential and commercial customers. We also offer discounts for seniors, first responders, and military. What's bugging you? Let us know today, and we'll be out before you know it. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
Week 1, high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Millbrook Pioneers with a home opener against the Loudoun Valley Vikings. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Millbrook Pioneers, Nick Manuel. Coach, certainly appreciate your time with us as always. I know we caught up a little while during your camp period. Just wanted to get your thoughts on how you've seen improvement from your team from the first time we've caught up to now, with some scrimmages that you all participated in as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is identity. Like, it's always been something I wanted to establish was be a physical, gritty team, and I can start to kind of see this team take that over, being able to run the ball well. Like, we have guys finishing blocks, playing to the whistle, swarming to the ball on defense. So like, those things are coming into place, and like, that's what I've always wanted to do, and now I can finally start to see my team do that.
Take us through some of the scrimmages that your team was a part of, and who maybe some key players who really stood out to you and the coaching staff.
Yeah, well, our first scrimmage we had Riverside, and the second one we had James Monroe. We literally had 0 days to prep for James Monroe because of a broad run cancellation of our scrimmage, and we just really wanted to get our second scrimmage in. So, that night we ended up making a scrimmage with James Monroe. They picked us up. We traveled 2 hours on a bus to make it happen, and our players played well. Rome Johnson stood out on the offensive side of the ball of creating big plays, but I think Nick McKinney's been very consistent at wide receiver and making the plays that are thrown to him. I think he had 4 catches for a solid amount of yards, but it was over 4 targets. Ben Furby at the quarterback position's been consistent, making good decisions, and really pleased with that. And I think our offensive line has taken the next step, and with Carter Kinley, a tailback, to establish the run. I've been really pleased with Jude Cusick on the tone that he set in the blocking game, but also in the receiving game on offense. Defense, we're a unit without superstars, but I think the best defenses, it's 11 guys playing together, playing hard, and finishing in the whistle that really makes up the best units.
And Coach, I know we spoke about the fact that it's sort of a quarterback competition. Not sure if you've named that quarterback, but just from both your quarterbacks in the quarterback room, where have you seen the most growth in what they've been able to do through these 2 scrimmages as well?
Yeah, I've just seen a lot of growth with Ben Furby at quarterback, of just commanding the huddle and holding our offense to a standard that we want to compete at. Like he's a quiet guy, but I've heard his voice a couple times over these past couple weeks of taking over and taking charge and getting on the guys, and he's made vast improvements with his arm strength, accuracy, and the most important thing is he plays within our system really well. He's not trying to go out there and make plays that aren't there or force the ball to guys. He's making the right reads. If a ball is supposed to go to this person, like that's who it's going to. He obviously makes simple adjustments within the reads of the routes, but it's nothing ever where I'm like surprised where it should have went here and it didn't. When it's supposed to go there, it goes there. And I really think two of his best plays from the scrimmages, we got out of the pocket and we threw the ball away. Like I tell him all the time, we can live to play another down, and that's what he's been doing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, looking ahead, it is game week, week one of the regular season. What's just the vibe and the energy around the team going into a game week, opening up the season at home?
Yeah, well, I think we're treating it like any other preparation, whether if it's a scrimmage or a local opponent. Like we know that we got to be crisp in practice. We know that we got to all be on the same page, and we got to be ready to get after it each and every play. We know Loudoun Valley, they have a good group. They have some talented players. They're well coached. Their programs won a lot of games. So we know it's not going to be easy, but we've been prepping for this all summer, and I think we'll have a good shot to go out and be competitive in this one. And if we play a really good fundamental sound football game, I think we can come away with a win.
And I know in week one there are some unknowns when it comes to preparing for an opponent, but what is sort of that prep like, and what are you seeing from you and the staff from Loudoun Valley?
Well, we know they have special players. They have a good offensive system. I truly have watched every single play from their offense over the past 2 years, and we've repped it in some type of version. So, I think it'll be hard to throw some things at us that we haven't prepped, and they should have a couple things that we haven't prepped, but we've seen a lot of it. We put our players in a lot of different situations of trying to recognize what we do. They have tendencies, but the reality of it is they have a good offensive line. They have a really good tailback that makes plays happen when there's nothing there. And even if we know the tendency, we still got to go out and execute what they're trying to do. And we see some of their tendencies of maybe where they're trying to set us up on something by being very obvious with something. And we're prepared for the variables that they have. And on defense, they play smash mouth football. Like they swarm to the ball. They tackle really well. They should be proud of what they have accomplished over there on the defensive side of the ball, just of how hard their players play every single play. And that's where we're trying to get to, and I think that's what you'll see from us as well. So I'm thinking for a good, tough football game.
So, Coach, the preparation has begun. Come Friday night, what do you and the staff want to see your team? What product do you want to see from your team once they step out on the football field Friday night?
Well, I think it's a product that you want to see each and every week, just not in this specific game of where we're running the football well. We're hitting our play action shots. Some of our players have to create explosive plays, maybe when they're not there. We got to finish our blocks to the whistle. We got to make sure we're sound and not any holding penalties, bad snaps, or false starts. That's a recipe for a loss. On the defensive side, we got to have 11 hats swarming to the ball. We're prepared for the running back to be in a pile and break out. So we've worked on our DBs of prepared for him to bust out of there. We can't let key screens or bubble screens, that should be tackled for 3 to 4 yards, turn into long touchdowns. We got to do our job, and we can't make sure we're trying to do someone else's job of biting on a key screen and let something, go over the top for a big touchdown. So, we got to create turnovers. We can't turn over the ball. We got to tackle well, and limit big plays and have some big plays of our own. And, that's a recipe each and every week, and that's what we strive to put out there on Friday night through our week of practice.
And almost forgot to mention, Coach, elementary school night, inviting the local elementary school kids out to watch some Pioneers football, sort of getting in the community a little bit more. What's that importance like to you?
Oh, I just love it. I used to be an elementary school teacher, so anytime you can get those kids involved, I just really appreciate it. My wife's a principal at a local elementary school, so elementary means a lot to me. But we're just trying to put a good product out on the field, so those kids have something to look forward to one day when they come to play high school football. That Millbrook football is can be successful, and it's exciting to be around.
It is Millbrook hosting Loudoun Valley this Friday night, week 1 of high school football. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Millbrook Pioneers, Nick Manuel, today and all season long, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Manuel, certainly appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to catching up with you next week.
Yeah, appreciate you, Josh, covering our kids, and looking forward to a good home opener, and our fans and everything appreciate all the work that you put into our community. Thanks.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Handley Judges open up the season at home with a Saturday matchup against Eastern View. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Handley Judges, Coach Jake Smith. Coach, good to have you on. Just first and foremost, what have you seen from your team from the early days of camp when we last connected up until now, and sort of take us through some of the scrimmages and how you liked what your team was able to accomplish against different opponents?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've progressed throughout camp. Like I said before, it's a young team. I think each and every day there's growth. And that's just kind of what we're striving for right now. I'm not looking for an astronomical difference, from day 1 to day 2, but just little bits of improvement in different areas each day. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far. We've had 2 scrimmages. One from, at home, Washington out of West Virginia, and then going over to Loudoun County and playing Riverside. The first scrimmage, just a format and style, we're just running racks of plays, and we ran, I think a series of sticks, one set of sticks, kind of down in distance. And then, our second scrimmage, we tried to game simulate a little bit more with dead specials. But I think, from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, I think our ability to run the ball was definitely better. I think we ran the ball all right in the first scrimmage. I wouldn't say it was really, really good or really bad either way. We just kind of, mediocre. But I thought we were really able to establish a run game in the second scrimmage offensively. And then we were able to take advantage of, different zone coverages in both of those in the pass game. From a defensive perspective, I think we played pretty well as far as stopping the run. I think there was a significant improvement from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, which was good to see. A lot of new faces on that side of the football. So, all in all, what you want improvement each week. And I think that occurred from the first scrimmage to the second.
It's no secret, Coach, your senior class was heavy last year, and as you just mentioned, you have a pretty young team. In the eyes of you and the coaching staff, I would imagine that is a great time to evaluate younger pieces throughout these scrimmages and throughout camp. And I know that phrase comes up too. Competition brings out the best in everybody. Who's maybe struck your eye, who's really stood out to you, that's impressed you and the staff so far?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, from an O-line perspective, that was kind of the group we were challenging the most, just because, those guys have zero varsity experience outside of Tyler. And I think they've done a good job. I think it's starting to get, kind of solidified here as we're moving into, game week. But real stilly looking between, 6 to 7 guys, working there, up front. Defensively, I think a guy that really sticks out is Miguel Perez, kind of playing some outside linebacker for us. He had a great scrimmage, in the first scrimmage at a safety position, coming up and making fits at tackling. And so we were able to move him down in the second to kind of take a look, kind of what that would look like. And I think he did a really good job there for us, as far as that goes. I mean, obviously, the guys that played for us before at the varsity level, are continuing to progress and get better. And Tyler and Jalen, Zaire and Tristan, as far as that goes. But, some of these young guys are, starting to step up, and it's a nice thing to see.
How did it feel just having Tristan back out there fully 100%? And what do you see that really stood out to you during the scrimmages there?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret, that Tristan's a great athlete, he can run the ball, and so primarily with him, we emphasize the passing side of that and kept him out of the quarterback run game. And I think he's progressed really well as a passer. He does a great job of, his footwork and taking the proper drops to match the concepts and coverages that we have. He takes, 3 to 4 different styles of drops, based on the coverage. And that allows him to get the ball out on time and in rhythm. And I think he did a really good job of that so far. But also, just being able to, command our offense, having such good knowledge of it, putting people in the right positions. And then again, just being able to dictate some tempo, I think is really positive.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking ahead to game week, it is Eastern View, a home matchup to open up the season. How's just the energy around the team getting ready for game week in general?
Well, I think at any point, I think most programs right now are ready to start a game prep, to get out of camp and to, hone in on somebody else as far as a scouting report and game plan and have some real purpose behind, what you're doing. Not that it's not purposeful, in camp and the stuff, drill work and running plays, but, now you're in a true game plan scenario. And so you're able to have somebody else's tape, you're able to break it down, you're able to kind of see what their rules are defensively, what's their identity on offense, right? And then so how can we attack those areas and how can we take away, what they want to do? And so I think everybody's kind of ready for that. It's exciting. And again, it's an exciting challenge with Eastern View.
Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing out of Eastern View. I know week 1, there are always those unknowns because you have so little to work on as a coaching staff, but what are you able to evaluate and see what they bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, last year was the first time that we've played them, that I've ever played them anywhere that I've been also. So it's a completely, new face out there for us. But, they were very young last year. They're a really young team, kind of a sophomore heavy group, and so that group has aged. They're now juniors and they have more seniors than they did before. A lot of good athletes. It looks like they have a quarterback battle going on between 2 different players, which are 2 drastically different styles of play, which makes it tough for you to kind of prepare for 2 separate quarterbacks. And then defensively, they're an odd front, very similar last year, and they're going to send a lot of pressure and try to create havoc.
And just in general, as you prepare for the game on Saturday, what do you want to see from you and the staff? What do you want to see your team do when they get out on the football field? What are you looking to see from this Handley Judges team when they step out for the first game of the regular season?
Well, I think now for a lot of these guys, for, lack of better terms, like, we're taking the training wheels off for the first time, right? And so you got a little bit of that in the Riverside scrimmage and the game simulation, but, there's no coaches on the field anymore. So a lot of guys first, varsity football game. So, one, we want to manage the emotion of the game for a lot of those younger guys, and we're going to lean on, the experience that we have to kind of help that out. But really is looking to offensively establish a run game. That's what we do here. That's what we've done. That's not changing. It's something that we want to continue to be and identify ourselves as. And so establishing a ground game week one, I think, will be big for us. And then defensively, really being able to contain these two quarterbacks. One's more of a passer and has a really strong arm, and the other kid, he throws the ball a little bit, but he's a tremendous athlete, very dangerous, fast guy, can make people miss in space. He had some big runs against Kettle Run and Colgan. And so, being able to contain both of those guys, should they play them both or should they play one versus the other? But, I think quarterback containment for us defensively will be big on Saturday.
It's Saturday at the Handley Bowl to open up the regular season in high school football as Handley hosts Eastern View. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Handley Judges, Coach Jake Smith, today and all season long right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Smith, certainly appreciate the time and looking forward to catching up with you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
JC Mobile Mechanic is a locally owned and operated automotive service serving the Stevens City region and beyond. Fully licensed, insured, and optimized both for high quality and convenience. Preventative automotive maintenance and repair has never been easier to fit into your daily schedule. JC Mobile Mechanic brings professional service and maintenance directly to you at your home, your workplace, or wherever your vehicle is parked. Whether you need a simple oil change or something more, we bring you personalized, high-quality work that you can trust. Find JC Mobile Mechanic on Facebook, or you can contact JC Mobile Mechanic 540-692-9592 or JC Mobile Mechanic 522 at gmail.com. Week one, high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Clarke County Eagles are on the road to face the James Wood Colonels, a Class 4 opponent at the Ridge campus. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. Coach, great to connect with you once again. I know last time we connected some of the early days of your team's football camp, but just first and foremost, how have you liked the improvement of your team from when we first connected up until now, with a couple scrimmages out of the way for your team?
Well, I think it's a process. There's no question. We're farther ahead than we were this time last year, but the kids know and our staff knows that we still got a long way to go to get where we need to be, to get back to what our typical standard is of Clarke County football. But our kids are giving a lot of effort now. They're coachable. And so we're expecting it's just like every other team, to get better and better each and every week. And that's our ultimate goal.
What do you see that pleased you and the staff during the scrimmage time that you and the team had?
Well, I thought, the scrimmage one, we controlled the ball, we moved the ball, we had not as many missed assignments, and we played well. The second scrimmage against Loudoun Valley, there were some good things and there were some bad things. We had some stuff that pre-snap, mental mistakes that we need to get cleaned up, because if not, guys are going to run free. And with our opponent this week being James Wood, and that certainly cannot happen. So it wasn't an effort type based thing. It was basically responsibility wise of what everyone's job entails. And like we try to preach to the kids, 10 guys can be doing theirs. All it takes is one person to not be doing their job. And usually something bad will happen. So that's why football's so great. It takes 11 guys all the time to be on the same page and doing their particular jobs to have success. So football teaches the game of life like any other sport in the world. It's the greatest. So we've got to make sure that we take care of what we have to take care of each individually so our entire team can get better.
And you mentioned the progress is farther along this point than it was last year. That must say a lot about the group of returners you have from that young team last year. Just how huge is that, Coach, that the progress is showing maybe in little chunks, and that must be a good thing to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be lying to you if I didn't say that, all the big steps we took. We had a couple of mishaps last week in the second scrimmage, but Loudoun Valley is a very good football team. And, they went to the regional championship last year in 4A in their region. So they're good. And I expect them to be very good again this year. So also, too, I take that with understanding how good they were. But in the same token, you got to make sure you line up correctly. You got to know what your responsibility is. And when you do those things, you give yourself a better chance to succeed. So we're hoping that we can clean some of that up going into this week, and also too for the foreseeable future, because I do think we'll get better and better each and every week. We've got good kids, and they will continue to get better. And we are bigger, we're stronger, and we are farther along. But like I said, we were really, really, really young last year. We're still young. I mean, the team is mostly juniors now, but we can sit there and talk about young and youth and everything else, but we've got to play better football too. And that means for all of us from coaching and for the players as well. So we're in this thing together, and we're excited about the start of the season.
And how huge is it, some of the upperclassmen like Grady, for example, just that leadership added from a player standpoint for this team as well?
Yeah, I mean, Grady's kind of a quiet kid anyway, and most of the stuff he does is lead by example. And the one thing that I do know that he's trying to do is becoming more of a vocal leader, and he is. But sometimes that comes out of, some people actually have that innate ability to be vocal leader, and some don't. And that's something that I don't think Grady's really, really accustomed to, but he's getting much better at it because the kids look at Grady. I mean, he's a really good football player for us, and he was truly the workhorse last year on offense for us, and then having to also play, the Mike linebacker in our defense. It's a tough two-way assignment for anybody, and especially last year as a sophomore, and he was able to handle that duty and do it very well. So the kids respect him, they look up to him, and he's taking a leadership role on to the next level for sure.
Absolutely. So, Coach, it's no secret what the James Wood Colonels have been able to do the past couple of seasons, and the weapons they have, a Class 4 opponent to open up the season. Just first and foremost, how do you like that challenge that a James Wood team can give your kids? Because I know tough opponents like that can really help a team, even being this young of a team in your Clarke County Eagles.
Well, I mean, we're playing a really good opponent. There's no question. Throw in the fact that they are two classifications bigger than us. I mean, that's no secret. But also, too, you throw in the fact that we've always gone against teams that are bigger than us in years past as well. But, James Wood adds a different it's kind of a little different animal this year with them. And same as last year. They return most of their kids. They're big. They're physical. They get off the football. The receiving core is dynamic. The Urich kid's good. They've got other guys that can all play, and they've got great hands, and they get open. And the running backs, they get downhill. And then when you have the Neal kid at quarterback, I mean, he's phenomenal. He's truly, a two-way guy that can dual sport you to, or dual threat you at any point. So it's one of those things where if you get pressure on him, if you make a guy miss, he's taking off and running with it because he's got great feet. And then if you give him a lot of time in the pocket with those receivers, he's going to cause problems. He's got a great arm and great accuracy. So he's a really good football player, and he has been for years. And and I'm excited to see what his future holds outside of the high school level when he goes off to play in college. But yeah, it's definitely a tough matchup for us. But we saw a really tough matchup last week, and what we told the kids is you've got to put a better product out there to give yourself a chance to compete. And like we're telling our kids, we have to hold on to the football. We have to hold on and play keep away. We've got to make sure that we get first down so that James Wood's off the field. And then we have to make them drive the ball. We cannot give up 40, 50, 60-yard explosive plays. When you make a team actually have to drive the football, they have a chance to make more mistakes. We cannot give up the big explosive plays. And so that's what we're preaching, and that's what we're hoping that our kids will really truly get that and take that next step. Because like I told them, Loudoun Valley, James Wood, and I also think, Strasburg Central, they're all good teams. Our district, our schedule was very difficult. But in the same token, these, last weekend's Valley and James Wood, two of probably the best teams on our schedule, being 4A and also being where they went to last year and what James Wood is projected to do this year too. So it's good for us. Hopefully we can build off of it and get something going for the rest of the season. But in the same token, we're going to compete. We will compete better than we did last week. And also, I expect our kids to line up, play fast, not think as much. And so those are all things we're trying to get accomplished this week and also into our kids, because the future is bright as you get through the season. You start playing more schools that are in your own classification. And hopefully what you've done in the preseason and then early on with a tough schedule can also pay off when you get to the district sky.
And take me through sort of the messaging the same from last year. You want your kids to compete, to have an opportunity to stay in the game. And if that is sort of the same, how huge is it that you want your kids to compete for all 4 quarters to give themselves a chance to win the football game?
Well, I think anytime that you are the perceived, underdog in something, you've got to do the little things. I mean, and there's been times where we've come on the field and you watch a team that maybe shouldn't have been as right there with us. And when they control the ball and they play keep away, you can panic a little bit on your side because you're not getting the ball as much. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we hold on to the football. That is imperative to us. We can't turn it over. We've got to make sure that we grind out first downs. And then when we're good and when we're doing our thing, we can knock 6-7 minutes off a clock on a drive. That is our goal. We have to do that because what makes it worse if, all of a sudden you go 3 and out, you punt, and they have an explosive play, and then you go 3 out again, and another explosive play. Next thing you're down 2 scores. So, and then at that point, then you're riding, obviously a tough bus and try to get, to get through there. But those are all things that our kids know they have to do. We know as coaches that we have to do, and we've got to go out there and actually just try to do it. And with that said, too, I mean, James Wood it's kind of crazy because I think they're probably the favorite to be, and I just said by the talking heads, favorite to be the best team in the area, in the Winchester. We'll see how that plays itself out too. But and that's saying too, they're going to be fired up. I mean, it's game 1 for them. They're doing their senior night the first day, first game. So we also know the energy level for them is going to be high. And our kids are excited about playing football too, because you start putting on a pads on July 30th, and you're talking almost a full month, and you get to 2 scrimmages. But there's nothing like Friday nights when the lights come on and you're playing a great game of football.
So, Coach, last but not least, after seeing what your team has been able to do up until this point, what is the product you're looking to see from your team on Friday night in order to be the most successful? What do you want to see once those lights come on and that kickoff is kicked?
Compete. It's simple. Compete every play. It doesn't make a difference if you're on the field for one play, a special team, if you're on offense or defense, or you're both ways. Compete at the highest level that you can compete. And then when you lay your head on, at the bed at the end of the game, you know that you gave it all out there. And that's all I'm asking. And that's the only thing we're going to do as coaches as well. That's all you can do. It doesn't make a difference if you're, whatever sport you're playing. Did you compete? Did you compete with unbridled passion? And that's what we're going to ask our kids to do. And there's no question we're going to be competitive. We're going to try. We're going to compete our tails off. And what we have to do, like I said, play our brand of football. So that's the 2 things we have to do. We have to compete at a very high level every play and play Clarke County football. If we do those 2 things, I'll like where we're being no matter what.
Should be a lot of fun. The Clarke County Eagles traveling to face the James Wood Colonels, part of Week 1 action. As always, pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs, today and all season long right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time as always and looking forward to catching up with you next week.
Yeah, thanks, and go Eagles.
For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The James Wood Colonels get set to take on the Clarke County Eagles for their home opener. Always pleased to be joined by the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Todd Wilson. Coach, thanks for your time as always. I know we connected on the first day of camp, and it just seemed like a lot of energy from your Colonels team with a lot of returners and a lot of exciting pieces in so many places. Just curious, Coach, how do you like the improvement of your team from the first day of camp up until this point with a couple scrimmages out of the way for your team as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get those scrimmages out of the way and come out of those healthy is the biggest thing. Like obviously getting some good work in, but you don't want to lose anybody to an injury in a not really important scrimmage type game. The other 10 really matter. So the scrimmages were good. We got out of those fairly healthy. Bumps and bruises, things like that, a normal game of football, but no major injuries. So that's the biggest thing. And then just seeing what we needed to fix. Going up against the same opponents every day in practice, you kind of get an idea of what guys do well and don't do well. But when you go against other opponents, you get a better look at what guys are, capable of doing, where to push them in certain areas. And then the biggest thing is having officials on the field. We got called for a couple penalties here and there, and obviously those are some things that we have to fix and get better. And some of it was just not schematic, but just not moving our feet good enough and things like that. But so far so good. Like everything's looking good where we want to be right now.
I was scrolling through social media and some highlight plays from those scrimmages came up. I know they are scrimmages, but a lot of your players were pretty hyped from some of the big plays shown in those scrimmages. Maybe a big positive coming away from you and the staff as well. Some of the big highlight plays early on in these scrimmages.
Yeah, we've really tried to preach to the kids about, not taking it for granted. They are scrimmages, but we want to be competitive with everything we do. Our practices are competitive. We got some really competitive periods built into our practices, and we just want that to translate over into the game. So yeah, guys were excited to be on the field. A lot of these guys have been here now, 3-4 years. They know what the expectation is at practice. Those first couple years was just kind of groundwork, building the routine, building the expectations, knowing how we want to play. Now most of the guys know that stuff. So the upperclassmen are setting a good example for the underclassmen, knowing what the standard is around here. So going out there and being competitive on those scrimmages and being excited to play, it was good to see from the guys.
Who are maybe some names that stood out to you and the staff, maybe from the underclassmen side, that really impressed you, or some players who you might fit into different roles for key pieces that you lost to graduation, if you will?
Yeah, most of our guys, a lot of our guys are back that really saw a lot of time last year. Like obviously, Owen and Nadrick's got a great connection. That showed up again. First offensive play from scrimmage was a big touchdown pass from Owen to Adric. Just kind of picked up where they left off last year. But those are a lot of guys that contributed last year. Some of the new guys that are coming up, some of the juniors competed last year as well, like Jackson Ledford. He's a junior this year. He was playing varsity as a sophomore last year. But probably the name that really stands out the most, that just because the kid was on JV last year, he played all of his his freshman year on JV, and we're really going to see contributions out of him in a lot of areas, special teams, offense, and defense as well, is Jackson O'Connor. Jackson O'Connor, he had a heck of a season last year as a freshman. He did a lot of things for him, played a little bit of wildcat running back, really good receiver. He's got great hands. As a track kid as well. He's got some speed to him, and just real humble kid. Works hard. He's just kind of one of those guys that kind of fits the mold of some of those upperclassmen that we've talked about the last couple of years, the Owen Neals, the Adric Urish. And the other one who's a junior, saw a little bit of playing time last year. because we were able to manage his quarters well enough to get him a little bit of varsity playing time, is Jackson Lang. So Jackson O'Connor's a sophomore, Jackson Lang's a junior. We're really going to see a lot from him this year in the passing game. So excited for those two kids. Some of our younger guys stepping up in some of those roles where we lost guys from last year.
So, Coach, probably a position group that isn't talked about a lot, but I wanted to get your thoughts on. Obviously, Aiden Bell signed with UVA, getting a roster spot as your kicker. When it comes to special teams, how do you evaluate that area after a great kicker in Aiden Bell graduated your program last year?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really think about a lot of special team stuff last year when you had Aiden Bell. We practiced it and stuff like that. But when it was time to go kick an extra point after we scored a touchdown, it was just he ran out there and did his thing. It wasn't a whole lot of coaching or teaching. I mean, he knew what to do, and the special teams unit was really good. And a little bit on me, we have a freshman right now. We didn't go live the first scrimmage special teams. We didn't kick field goals or anything like that. And then there were some things that I just assumed a kicker would know to do during the scrimmages that he needed to be taught. So we coached him up a little bit about how to get on and off the field and things like that. But he did a great job. Draven Hernandez is our freshman kicker. Right now he's doing both of our extra point field goal, and he's kicking off for us. So that's a lot to ask out of a young guy. He's got a strong leg, but, especially being a freshman, playing varsity football, but he hasn't shied away from it. He's excited. And again, another really high character kid. You ask him something or try to coach him up, and his response every time is, yes, coach. Yes, coach. So he's really taking coaching well. So it's good just to have kids like that in your program that work really hard, want to do the best they can for the team. And he's just another one of those guys that's doing that.
So, Coach, just take us through sort of the energy level. What's it like practicing for the game week? I know probably correcting some things that you all didn't like throughout the scrimmages as well, but what's the vibe around the team?
Yeah, excited. I mean, week one, we're excited about the season. We've, kind of built these guys up over the last couple of years of getting a lot of those young guys some playing time. A lot of these guys that have been playing are now seniors. Game one is senior night. So that's a little change up from what I'm used to. Usually it's, senior night is that last home regular game of the season. They moved it to the first game of the year this year. So that's brought a little bit extra excitement to it. So, the seniors are going to be celebrated all year long. It's just a good opportunity to start the year off right, and obviously, hopefully, those seniors enjoy their last year being able to play high school football. That's what's really about, is just making memories with these guys, letting them understand that it's a big part of their life, and moving forward, whatever they do, they can always look back and have some fond memories of playing high school football.
Hosting Clarke County to open up the season, as you just mentioned, it is senior night as well. I know week one could be some unknowns, but it's no secret what kind of offense this Clarke County Eagles team runs in the single wing. What are you seeing from your early evaluations from Clarke County come Friday night when the lights come on and the kickoff is kicked?
Yeah, I mean, they're coached well. I mean, they do what they do, and they do it well. One of those things where you look at it, there's some wrinkles and things like that within that single wing. They can do some different things formation wise, but realistically, it's a lot of plays that we saw last year when we went up against them. They didn't revamp and change their entire offense. They're still running a lot of the same stuff they did last year. The biggest thing for us is just taking care of our alignments. They do some stuff that makes you want to, get out of position and maybe overload one side, and then they're going to, come back the other direction. And then obviously they'll lull you to sleep with the run game, but they have the capability of, hitting some passes in behind you. So obviously we traded films with them, so we've seen that as well. So they do have some playmakers that can get open in space, and If you kind of keep creeping up, they'll hit you over the top with a pass. So, just playing fundamental football, alignment, assignment type stuff. And then just don't let them get into a rhythm. They like to be able to get in a rhythm and ball control and eat up some clock, things like that. So if we can, force some, negative down and distances there early on, first, second down, I kind of like our chances. And obviously, just playing mistake-free football.
So, Coach, what do you and the staff want to see from this James Wood Colonels team when they step onto the field this Friday night? What brand of football are you expecting to see from your team?
Yeah, just a lot of excitement, a lot of, excitement, tempo. We play with a lot of tempo. We're a no huddle team, and we don't do a ton of conditioning. Like, we just run our offense up and down the field, and that's a lot of our conditioning. We don't just line up and run and run and run. We're getting plays in while we're running. So that's a big part of it, is just having a lot of energy, and then obviously being able to sustain that energy for 4 quarters. We are up tempo offensively, but being able to keep that same pace, not just for 1 drive or 2 drives, but for 4 quarters of a football game. And on the defensive side, the same thing, just playing with a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. It's game 1. We've been working really hard. Everybody across the country and the state's been working really hard. So it's just kind of time to show what all the off-season stuff you've been working on, putting that on display for the fans on Friday night.
And last but not least, senior night, just how meaningful is this group of seniors, including Owen and Adric? They've been with your program for quite some time, but just collectively, what are your thoughts on the senior class and the relationship that you have built with them?
Yeah, I mean, I said every year, every senior group, last year, the year before, ever since I've been coaching, every senior class is a special class of kids. This one, just same thing. It's a special group to me. It's the first, freshman class came in when I took over as the head coach, especially with playing a lot of these younger guys. I mean, typically, a lot of freshmen and sophomore are not, playing varsity ball that early. But we brought a lot of those guys up, even a lot of the linemen that are playing, Timber Huff, Lane Herring, guys like that have been in the program. Sawyer Farr, those guys have been here since kind of day one with me, the 4 years. And you build relationships with these kids and their families. Football is a long season. It's not just during football season. We give them a little break in December, and then we're in the weight room with them from January all the way through the summer. I mean, we take the dead periods off and stuff like that. But you're with these kids almost every single day. They become, part of your family. And it's great just to see them grow up from, small freshmen to where they are now as seniors. And then you start talking to them about their future goals, whether they're going into, I know like Adric Urish is, looking to attend, like a Bible school that has a football program. Owen Neal, he's going in his path. We got some other guys that are looking into, business management type stuff. So you get to know them as people, not just football players. And that's what makes it special is building those relationships with the kids.
Should be a lot of fun. It is senior night, the home opener for the James Wood Colonels as they host the Clarke County Eagles Friday night, 7 o'clock. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Coach Todd Wilson, today and all season long right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time as always and looking forward to catching up with you next week, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you and look forward to these conversations as we go forward through the season.
Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports the Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Skyline Hawks with a Week 1 trip traveling up to face the defending state champions in Class 2, the Strasburg Rams. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Skyline Hawks, Coach Heath Gilbert. Coach, certainly appreciate your time. We connected during your annual scrimmage game. A lot of excitement there, and a lot of great pieces for the Skyline Hawks team. Where have you seen the most improvement from your team from that point up until now? And take us through some of the scrimmages you were recently a part of.
Yeah, so just getting game ready was a big part of the conditioning and the contact that you have to sustain through 4 quarters of football. It's a ramp up, obviously, with how the first scrimmage goes, and then into the second one, we treat it like a game, full game scenario with full live special teams and offense and defense, of course. So that was good for the kids. We traveled to Luray, then James Wood came to us. It was positive and negatives for both. James Wood is a good football team for sure. A lot of respect to them, and that time period is so big for our development. I know our linebackers were a big point of emphasis for us, and they really have shown some good improvement. So we're pleased with the progress we're making with those guys, and we just got to lean on our veterans and be ready to do our best Friday night against the state champion Strasburg Rams. So they're going to be ready.
Yeah, we talked about some pieces that you lost to graduation last year. Who really stood out to you during the scrimmages that can really help your team out as well if you have anybody that you and the staff really like?
Yeah, so like for Isaiah Grady from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 was awesome. The plays that he made, like 8 tackles, 2 sacks. He really stepped up his game. So that's the progress we're looking for. So he played outside backer last year, and moving to the inside, it takes time. You're reading keys. You have to be able to see the guard pull, and if you don't, you can get yourself out of position. So he really did a good job of improving that. So really proud of him for that. Young guys out there that are trying to make their mark. They're growing, like a James Hopkins, scoring twice against James Wood. He's a sophomore for us. He has really good speed, one of the fastest kids in our program. So that was a positive on the offense and special team side. Another young guy, Amir Smith, is doing a great job out there, and CJ Baltimore. So a lot of those young players that were kind of hoping that could step up have stepped up in these last couple scrimmages. So that was a super positive for us.
On the offensive side of the football, how have you liked the development of your new starting quarterback, Brentley Grindle?
Brentley's been great. He's been great. He showed that he has speed there was kind of a broken play. He was able to pick it up, scoop, and outrace everyone to the edge and scored a touchdown. So that just lets the defense know that, he's capable of any kind of breakdown. The second play, when that starts and he takes off, that he's a true threat.
So, yeah, Coach, leading up to game week, what's the energy like, and what's sort of the message to your team going into a week 1 matchup against a pretty tough opponent in Strasburg?
Absolutely. Strasburg deserves all the credit. They have a great program, and they're going to celebrate their state championship on Friday night, and we want to go in there and play our best football. So we know it's going to be a challenge, but we're excited for it.
And what do you and the coaching staff want to see from this Hawks football team when they step out on the field week 1 Friday night in Strasburg?
We want to see that we're emotionally ready to play, physically, which we're doing, in a weight room, we're doing on the practice field, and mentally. That's the scouting report work, that's watching film, all 3 of those things together so you can be at your best. It's hard if you're doing 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3 and you expect positive results. So we really give our kids a clear map of what we expect them to do throughout the week so that they are ready to go. They can be emotionally charged up. They can know what is possibly coming at them, so they're not playing in the dark, and just being physically ready.
It is week 1. The Skyline Hawks traveling to face the Strasburg Rams in Strasburg, Virginia. Always pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Skyline Hawks, Heath Gilbert, today and all season long right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Gilbert, certainly appreciate your time with us and looking forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks for having me, and go Hawks.
Located right here in Winchester, Virginia, Barrett Pest and Termite Services celebrates 25 years of service in 2022. And our veteran staff has over 100 years of combined experience preventing and remediating pest and termite infestations. From ants and termites on the ground to mosquitoes, yellow jackets, and hornets in the air, to one-time corrective services for rodents, to ongoing maintenance, Barrett does the job for residential and commercial customers. We also offer discounts for seniors, first responders, and military. What's bugging you? Let us know today, and we'll be out before you know it. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
Week 1 high school football is back right here on Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The defending state champion Strasburg Rams get set to take on the Skyline Hawks in their home opener week number 1. Pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Strasburg Rams, Trip Lamb. Coach, appreciate your time with me. Last time we connected towards the later part of camp. Just take me through what you've seen from your team, improvements from the time we last connected up until this point, with some scrimmages in between.
We've just gotten a lot better. We've had shuffle some guys around in some different spots maybe than what they're normally used to playing, and it's been good for our team, so we're fired up about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what's the energy like within the team with how many great pieces you have in place? What's the energy like just leading up to game week this week?
The energy's high. We've been focused on Skyline for a long time now, so we are, we're ready to kick it off. We're ready to get this season rolling.
And I know we talked about this last time we connected, but how huge is it you're making sure your team is only focused on the here, the then, and the now, and focused on the week 1 opponent in Skyline? How huge is that you're keeping your team's emotions in check by just staying in the current moment?
I think it's huge. I mean, last year, that's behind us. And I don't really think that's going to be something that we have to worry about because our guys are dialed in. They're focused.
Yeah, absolutely. So just take me through. I know week 1, there are a lot of unknowns, but what are you seeing from the Skyline Hawks team that they're going to be presenting come Friday night?
They've got athletes all over the field. They fly to the ball on defense. Obviously, they got the running back who can really hurt you in a lot of different spots. But they got skill guys all over the field, and they're very athletic.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach, for you and the staff, what are you looking to see from your team? All the work from camp scrimmages to now, what are you looking to see out of your team when they step onto the field on Friday night?
I'm just looking to see us, be able to finish some plays. I want to see us execute, and I want to see us, be disciplined. I think if we can come out first game and be disciplined and not turn the ball over and, not have penalties, I think we'll be off to a good start.
Week 1, it's the Strasburg Rams hosting the Skyline Hawks in Strasburg, part of Week 1 action. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Strasburg Rams, Trip Lamb, today and all season long. Coach Lamb, certainly appreciate your time with us here on Kirby's Kickoff. Looking forward to catching up with you next week, sir.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. That will do it for the Week 1 edition of Kirby's Kickoff. Once again, I'm Josh Kirby. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. Once again, Sherando traveling down to Amherst County. The Millbrook Pioneers home against Loudoun Valley. The James Wood Colonels hosting the Clarke County Eagles, the Strasburg Rams, and the Skyline Hawks. At Rams Stadium, the Central Falcons against Stuarts Draft. Warren County at Rock Ridge, and Handley hosting Eastern View. Going to be a lot of fun. Week 1 is almost here. Thank you so much for finding us right here on Kirby's Kickoff. We're available on YouTube and all streaming platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, we hope you enjoy your weekend, and we look forward to catching you on the Week 2 edition of Kirby's Kickoff. Have a great rest of your weekend.